where, you know, it had but this would be a very big tournament. I think as far as dominance of a deck, this is going to be very good.
Yeah, this was a great weekend for Amulet. I mean, it's impossible to learn the deck in a week, but if you had the deck in your arsenal, this was a great weekend to bring it out. Bunch of Lotus Blooms already on the battlefield for Robbins.
And a Hive Mind here. He's got a ton of mana.
Presumably, we've been through some Primeval Titan action already.
Well, this is what can happen in the deck, especially in this Azorius matchups. They actually can exile all your Titans. Now, Hive Mind makes this really interesting.
Yeah, you kind of don't want to let that one resolve.
Yeah.
Real concerned about Robbins just casting a Summoner's Pack and having it end the game. And these Lotus Blooms, what they're doing is representing magic to pay mana to pay for a Logic Knot. See some cards already in Lorren's Exile. Looks like the graveyard has 7, if what's fanned out there is all of them. 2 Logic Knots in Lorren's hand. That's not great.
Yeah. Well, I think that the Hive Mind's on. It looks like it's on the stack here. So we're gonna have to win this counter fight. Can he delve enough? We will see. 3 mana from Austin. Yeah, he can't really delve enough because of all these Lotus Blooms. He'll crack both the Lotus Blooms and pay. Remember, once Hive Mind's in play, if there's a green pact, you can't win this fight. These dispels don't work. You could try to, you know, if you try to counter your own green pacts, he will use the dispel to dispel your dispel.
And any Telaria West turns into that. Ooh, but there's just
that's a swing in for 4. He had blue. Austin only had a blue pact. He needed Phillip to cast a card, and his top card is green pact.
I mean, Phillip wasn't going to cast a card. He had lethal attackers on the table. Yeah, after that counter war is over, that's not going to happen.
And so we are headed to a third game. Phillip Lorren takes one there.
Got beat up a little bit by his Swan Song token.
It's one of the reasons you've seen some of the pilots switch over to Spell Pierce, especially the way these Colonnade matchups play out. Swan Song does a lot. Those birds do a lot of damage.
Right. Swan Song is going to be better when the game inevitably reaches the point where your opponent has a bunch of mana, but Spell Pierce is going to be beneficial for trying to steal the quick games.
You know, honestly, so the reason I think we still see this in decks has a bit of a historical thing with Amulet. So the deck has evolved pretty slowly over time because it doesn't get a lot of play. So it sometimes is slow to update. And Swan Song was the go-to counterspell when Summer Bloom was legal and Splinter Twin was in the format. Yeah. Because it won your counter wars, and most importantly, it counters enchantments.
Yeah.
So, you know, Splinter Twin would play Splinter Twin against you. They'd board in Blood Moon. This was a really excellent card. Now that we're in a spot where people don't play the card Splinter Twin, and the Blood Moon decks, they're not decks that actually Swan Song's good against anymore. You know, you don't really want to give Gruul Land Destruction a 2/2. If Storm's going to board in Blood Moon against you, I mean, Swan Song's fine there, but they're going to beat you up with it.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, this card is probably worse than Spell Pierce because in this matchup, it's just, you don't have a way to kill a 2/2. You'll take 10 off this card.
Yeah, it's also true, though, that Spell Pierce is pretty terrible against a deck that's trying to make 12 land drops.
That much is true. Yeah, sometimes the way the games play out, you still find, oddly enough, you find windows for it to be live on turn 10 in this matchup.
Yeah, when your Bloom comes off Suspend, if you're casting a Primeval Titan and you have 7 mana, that's a fine spot for a Spell Pierce. You're probably able to Spell Pierce a Cryptic Command there.
Yeah.
Not so much a Logic Knot.
Not so much a Logic Knot.
But a Cryptic Command.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I guess as long as you're not going to use this on the first 5 turns, it's okay in the matchup, but you can get punished.
You're less likely to get punished against Azorius than you are against Jeskai.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, if it's in your board, you're going to play it. But there will be games where you'll take 10 off the 2/2.
Yeah.
Because the basic strategy on the Amulet side is to play, basically, it's one of the decks where you want to take them to turn 20 in this matchup.
Yeah, both players kind of planning on going long.
Yeah. And game 3, and here we will go. Austin Robbins starting off on Aether Hub. And it'll be Amulet of Vigor. And Lotus Bloom.
That is a strong start.
It's a lot of mana.
These cards, we saw this deck before. A little awkward juxtaposition as they kind of both get you to 6 in their own way, but it's fine to have them both.
It's an interesting strategy on Austin's side. So there's really like 2 ways to go about this. Against a control deck, you can either keep your amulets and all your mana in and try to just really bully them hard on your mana. Or you can board out your amulets, board out some of your fast mana spells, and just try to like slowly ramp them and value them. Austin's going for the first one.
Yes. And he's on the play, which makes it a little bit easier to leverage the extra mana. He also has this Hive Mind configuration as opposed to the just Primeval Titan version.
Right.
Where it's really heavy on payoffs, which really incentivize having that extra mana.
Yeah, because he's a Cavern of Soul-less build of the deck, this is probably the way that definitely all points to that this is how he wants to approach his control matchup.
Yeah, if you have the Cavern in your 75s, you can afford to be a bit slower because you inevitably cast uncounterable creatures. Not the plan here.
Not at all. Third land from Austin and he'll pass. Hasn't used the amulet yet. We're just waiting for that bloom. This next turn should be pretty interesting, though. Phillip has to set up for the fight as well.
Starting on Opt with an uncracked fetch land. Now, it's not like Serum Visions where you can end up with cards still on top of your deck that you saw with Opt. Possible that he's very interested in hitting land drops is why you wouldn't crack the fetch land first.
Okay. Yeah, gets Hollowed Fountain there. Turn 3 will go here for Phillip. This is his last. He's going to set up for this fight over Lotus Bloom and whatever might come next to it. You hope your opponent's hand isn't something like Hive Mind Green Pact 2 Blue Pacts. If it is, you're really in trouble.
I mean, yeah, that's just
like not beatable.
Yeah, not remotely.
If you have 3 Dispels, I don't know, something. Yeah, it's gross. That doesn't even work.
Well,
he'll suspend visions.
You can't dispel the Hive Mind,
right.
So 3 Dispels not really not going to play there.
You need like a. Yeah, I don't even know. It's rough.
Yeah, that hand.
It's not beatable.
There's nothing you can really do.
Here's Lotus Bloom. And Phillip suspended Ancestral Visions, leaving up 2. So it's likely a Logic Knot or a Negate. Looks like he has both.
Negate would be the way you could tag the Lotus Bloom. Just a 3-card graveyard for the Logic Knot.
Upkeep here is Lotus Bloom. Does Phil want to fight here, is the question.
So given that the mana's coming from Lotus Bloom, you can Logic Knot or negate any 6-mana spell. So I am interested in just going for the payoff.
Yeah, I kind of agree. If you go for the counterspell on Lotus Bloom, and Austin's hand is Azusa, Bounce Land, Primeval Titan, you lose. He has enough to immediately just make the Titan. Do see Simic Growth Chamber from Austin picking up a land. He didn't actually untap the Growth Chamber here.
Yeah, I don't know if they communicated floating mana or what exactly is going on with that.
Okay. We'll see if he's floating anything. And it looks like it is missed. Which probably means it didn't matter.
You would assume. It was just the 5th mana in terms of lands. He knows that Lorren plays some small number of mana leak.
Sure.
1 in the main.
Significant play here by Lorren is Field of Ruin. That one can actually be a pretty big wrench against Amulet Titan.
Yeah, you like that one against Simic Growth Chamber.
Yeah, it knocks them down a mana. It's a bit of a tell on Phillip's side. If he only had 1 counter spell, he probably would main phase, Field of Ruin the Growth Chamber, and leave up double blue. Because he left up 4 blue, it does suggest something like Logic Knot and Negate.
I mean, is it a tell or can you read it as a bluff? Lorren.
I'm interested in both of them.
Yeah.
Primeval Titan off Lotus Bloom for Austin Robbins. This should get the Logic Knot out of Phillip.
Yes. With how low Robbins is tapped, I guess the Field of Ruin replaces a mana. I'm a little interested in Field of Ruining before Logic Knotting.
Yeah, well, I think he has a negate. So here's Pact Negation from Austin, and here will be a negate from Lorren.
If we cover too much of the other build, being able to cover this Pact Negation does matter.
The other thing is if Austin had a bounce land in his hand, it just doesn't matter. He has 2 Pacts.
And the first was countered, so he only has to pay for 1.
I was going to say, otherwise, if Austin had a bounce land, he could have floated 2 mana before this play to pay for a Logic Knot, but it's just not going to matter. 2 blue Pacts is more than you can... I mean, we talked about that earlier. You just can't win that counter fight.
Right.
And Titan's going to resolve. Yeah, 2 blue Pacts in the list, but when they're both in Austin's hand, there's not much to be done.
Robbins, let's see, is 2 base force. He wants to make sure to find some blue mana here because he's going to get Field of Ruined on Lorren's turn.
Yeah, now he gets the free haste attack off Primeval Titan.
Okay, that'll do it.
Right, so he'll 2-0 haste it. He wants to get... Yeah, if he wants to be really safe, likely, and he'll pick up Boros Garrison, what he could just get is 2 Teleria Wests, something like that. Get all your value in play, get a lot of blue mana.
So he currently has 2 blue sources, Gemstone Mine and Simic Growth Chamber, so just 1 more would allow him to pay for the Pact even through the Field of Ruin.
Right.
But he has to find at least that 1.
Yeah, he'll need 5 mana and a lot of blue mana.
Okay, these are blue lands.
Yeah, it looks like we have Temple of Mystery and Teleria West. It's actually kind of a nice one in this matchup.
The Temple?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're drawing either backup or payoff.
You pick it up with a bounce land on the early turns, just keep filtering your draws while both players hang out. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
And there's after the shuffle, there's the Scry one. Austin still has his land drop for the turn as well, which will be Aether Hub. So I love this. 5 blue mana available.
Yes.
And this still may go later. There's no more blue packs left in his deck. And now you get to the point of whether or not Phillip can Path to Exile every Titan from here on out. It's not impossible.
It is sure difficult.
Yeah, well, yeah, the problem is the future Titans all keep getting haste, so as he answers them, Phillip takes more and more damage. He has a Surgical Extraction in his hand.
That's the tough thing about that exiling effect. He'd like to have like a Terminate for Primeval Titan.
So did he just draw the Surgical?
He had it in hand during the counter war, but it was an awkward setup. I thought it over.
Yeah, there's no window?
Yeah, because he has Negate and Logic Knot, these can't both counter Primeval Titan. So there's not like a setup where he can let Pact of Negation be in the graveyard and Robbins doesn't have priority. If
both his cards were... You're right, there's no way to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to surgically extract the Pact of Negations, and that one's a bit of a misplay. The deck lists are public, and there are only 2 in his 75.
Right.
But I don't know how much of a consequence this is. He's in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that this game is functionally over as it stands. And with the Azorius control build, it's kind of what I was trying to get to. When your removal is Path to Exile and not something like Doomblade, Terminate would be the more commonly played card in Modern, that puts Primeval Titan in the graveyard, you can't Surgical the Titans.
Yep.
You have to win the counter war to do that.
Yeah, so a lot of times what they'll do in the matchup is if you can get your spot, Surgicaling the Teleria Wests is really good here. They transmute the first and they say, all right, that's your only one.
Yeah.
But Jace unsummoning the Titan, unlikely to cut it here, as it'll get haste next turn.
So we'll have to start next turn by paying for Blue Pact.
Okay, so maybe there's not enough mana to cast it.
Yeah.
We are still playing Colonnade for Phillip.
Beneficial that Phillip got to see Austin's hand off the Surgical. He knows it's Hive Mind and a couple lands.
5 mana. Austin setting aside some to pay. 1, 2, let's see, he has 5. Yeah, with that 5 tapped, he has 3 in play. Unlikely he can make Titan this turn.
Yeah, he has a bounce land. He would need a Sousa to go with it.
Yeah, a Sousa or an Amulet.
Sure. Double on tap.
If not, we're still going. It's still going to be hard from the Azorius side, right? You're playing a mirror, a matchup where your opponent has vastly more mana than you. And that can be difficult. But right now, Phillip may have found a window where this matters. 2 mana, can float. Untap Ungruel Turf brings him up to 5. Phillip will pick up the Teleria West and transmute it. He has to pay 1 more, which he'll do. And now it's interesting, we have Summoner's Pact. Now there's a Hive Mind in Austin's hand, so the Summoner's Pact is extra good here.
Yes. Yeah, what Lorren really needs to do from here is be able to counter every 6 mana play that Robbins tosses out here.
Yeah.
If he has a Snapcaster Mage to follow up Cryptic Command on a Primeval Titan, then he could Surgical them with the Surgical in the graveyard. He would still have to counter Hive Mind on the way down. If you can check these boxes, though, he can win this game.
Question I have here, which I know one of the deck lists, is there a Tireless Tracker in Austin's sideboard for this pact?
I'm not seeing one.
Okay.
There's a Hornet Queen.
Well, that one's actually pretty answerable. It's great against Jund. Jessica, the Colonnade decks are good against that. I'm looking for something, I guess, if, say, next turn we get that Hive Mind countered. The question would be, okay, can we play something else and start that's punishing?
Pretty much just more Primeval Titans. Not even a Rorik Thar the Unbowed.
All right.
And also notable, as we have mentioned, no Cavern of Souls in this 75 either.
Right, so the idea that he will... Right, this is how the Macius matchup works sometimes, is you'd get to this state, and then Austin would start, he'd transmute for Walking Ballista, transmute for that Cavern, and then just keep making land drops, and you see that life total at 9, and start thinking, this is going to be a problem.
Yes.
But back to Lorren we go.
Be one more turn before that Ancestral Vision comes off suspend. He's counting mana to see if Robbins can present 2 6-mana things on the following turn. He wasn't able to pay 5 and make a Haymaker that turn, so he's going to be shy of 11 here as well, or 12.
2 cards left in hand for Phillip Lorren. We know Austin's hand is Hive Mind, Summoner's Pact, and a fistful of other cards. In this matchup, a lot of them tend to be lands.
Yes. I believe Lorren does have a Cryptic Command, so if Robbins just commits to playing 1 Haymaker this turn, it will be covered. It's a little dicey to try to wait, though, because there's Ancestral Vision coming off suspend, there's an active Jace the Mind Sculptor.
He'll try Primeval Titan. What I'd like to see, if he had one, is even something like Colony Garden would be a big play here. It would kill the Jace if he can find it.
Yeah, just use that Slayer's Stronghold to give that some power and haste.
With this tap, that won't work. He goes for Primeval Titan. It's going to be countered. Counter draw, looks like, from Phillip. And Summoner's Pact while Phillip is tapped down for Austin Robbins.
Wants to play around Dispel, I suppose.
He goes for Azusa. I think we have bigger... There are bigger plans are afoot. Yeah. Packs for Azusa, casts Azusa, 3 land drops. Boros Garrison is the first, makes 2, picks up Simic Growth Chamber. Simic Growth Chamber is the second, picks itself up. Simic Growth Chamber is the third, picks up probably itself, we'll see.
Yeah, now he has his requisite blue mana, so it can just be any bounce land.
Yeah, he has 6. He'll pick up Gemstone Mine with the third one, and then cast Hive Mind. It's able to make just a casual 15 mana this turn.
And Counterspell's not so good now that Hive Mind's on the table.
Right. Can he knock it off the table? Do we have a Detention Sphere or anything like that?
So there's nothing in the sideboard.
Now hold on, we have an interesting one. There's a Hive Mind in play, and Phillip's Ancestral Vision is coming off suspend.
Ugh.
I see.
I suppose Robbins also wants to draw 3 cards.
Sounds great.
Yeah, there's no Detention Sphere in the main. Frequently in Jeskai, you see Wear Tear on the sideboard. Clearly that's not something you can do with Azorius Control.
Once it's on the table, he can Cryptic it off No, you can't. Counterspells don't work.
He could cast Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and tuck it.
Okay.
But I don't know if that will do enough. He has to spend a lot of mana to do that.
Right. Well, until he does, his other cards don't do anything.
Yeah, they're really bad against Hive Mind.
Yeah, counterspells are bad against Hive Mind.
Don't want to let that one resolve.
Interesting with this Azusa in play, we're getting to a point, even if he has the Teferi, Azusa can attack for 6 next turn. That is a very real thing.
That's true. You got the combination of those Boros utility lands.
Yeah. Takes most of your mana, but it's pretty nice. 3 more drawn off the Jace. He finds plenty of cards, but no Teferi. Some lands, some counter magic, some cantrips. That Hive Mind is going to be a problem.
He has the 3rd Ancestral Vision in hand. That one's not helping.
Let's see what he wants to do here. Just one green pact has been cast, nothing else. That Field of Ruin, looks like there's enough green mana in play. Can't really go for a pact kill.
Right. His hand, he does have quite a few lands. There's an Opt. That one doesn't amount to much.
I mean, right, and as long as Hive Mind is around, this is just not going to do much. 3 mana from Phillip Lorren. Field of Ruins away. Something.
Slayer's Stronghold.
Okay. Sure. Slayer's Stronghold gone. It's not bad. It's the best source of damage Austin has. Looks like they're just making sure that the decks have been presented correctly here.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what this pause was. At first I thought Lorren might have been interested in holding priority, but...
Yeah, they're confirming that he put cards back with Brainstorm, which I believe we did. The honest answer is I don't think it matters.
No.
Yeah, in this situation, when so few cards matter, it's whatever cards were kept or put back are pretty, don't really matter.
Right. Yeah, Lorren has backup Jason hand, a bunch of lands, that Opt, that Ancestral Vision. You can't really fight the Hive Mind on the table with that. He's looking at things like the awkward Cryptic Command to bounce it, give you a copy of the same effect, or Teferi to push it.
Second Jace to Legend Rule the first one, and to unsummon Azusa.
Well, now the haste land's off the table, that can't attack.
It stops the immediate damage. Upkeep, we have a Summoner's Pact to pay for. Austin will do just that. Hive Mind's in play, though. If he can find a Teleria West or a Summoner's Pact, he will go to the finals. Here's Teleria West. That's going to do it. You find a Summoner's Pact. That looks like a great time for Phillip to cast one.
Right. Phillip, probably not too thrilled about it.
And he extends the hand, and it is an all Amulet Finals. Austin Robbins is your 2-1 winner. What a great day for Primeval Titans.
Can't wait to watch this finals match.
I am so excited right now.